Hello dear students, myself Vijayshri Sawan. So already you have met Amruta Sane madam. So I am your one more biology lecturer. So I am very happy to welcome you to my college, that is DMS Mendes Jyoti PU College. So you have made a very good decision because here you will get a very helping teachers as well as our principal sir, all are of very helping nature. So once again I'll welcome you to our college. So now we'll move to our subject. So already you have learned chapter number 1, that is the living world. In that chapter, what all you have studied? Now you know what are the living organisms, what are the different characteristics of living organism. Then you have studied what is taxonomy, what is binomial nomenclature, what are the rules of binomial nomenclature. Okay, some examples also you have studied. Then you have studied the different taxonomical categories, that is from phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Okay, then the different taxonomical aids. So all this you have discussed and you already about that. Okay, now we'll move to the chapter number 2. So I'm going to start with chapter number 2, that is biological classification. Okay, so before moving to this chapter, you should know what is classification, what is the need of this classification. Okay, so what is classification? It is nothing but grouping the living organisms into different categories depending on their similarities or differences. That is called as classification. Now what is the need of classification? Okay, we want to study all these living organisms. So to make the study very easy, we have grouped them into the different categories. Okay, so what is the need of this classification? I'll give you one example. Okay, suppose if you want a biology book, okay, then what you will do? You will directly move to the library. So as soon as you enter into the library, if you see thousands of books are there and all the books are mixed over there. Okay, you will find the chemistry book is there, physics book is there, history book is there, sociology book is there, stat book is there, English book is there, biology book is there, maths book is there. All the books are mixed over there. Then is it easy for you to choose the biology book? No. Okay. But now if you go to any library or our college library, what you will see as soon as you enter, the different sections you will see. Arts section, commerce section and science section. Okay. Then now you want biology book, so directly you will move to the science section. Okay, so how these groups are made? Arts, commerce and science, depending on their differences. Arts is different, commerce is different and science is different. Okay, now you went to the science section. In the science section, again you will find the different sections are there. That is PCMB, physics, chemistry, maths and biology. So where you will go? You will go to the biology section. Okay, so how these groups are made? PCMB, because all the similarity is there. All the subjects are related to the science stream. So all these are put into the science section. So differences are also there and similarities are also there. Okay, so when you go to the biology section, you will get your book. So this is called as a classification. This is the need of classification. It will make you easy for your study. Okay. So in the second chapter, we are going to discuss in detail about this biological classification. So some scientists are there who has given the different theories or different categories in which the living organisms are classified. What is the contribution of this scientist? All that we are going to study in detail in our chapter number 2, that is biological classification. Welcome to chapter number 2, that is biological classification. Okay, so in the today's lecture, we will be studying about contribution of various scientists regarding classifying the organisms. So first scientist, his name is Aristotle. So Aristotle's classification. So Aristotle was the earliest to attempt more scientific basis of classification. So he has classified the plants as well as he has classified the animals. He has classified the plants into 3 groups, that is trees, shrubs and herbs, and animals into 2 groups, those which had the red blood and those that did not. So trees means the big trees, for example the mango tree or the coconut tree, which have the hard woody bark. Okay, then shrubs means the medium sized plants, for example the rose plant or the hibiscus plant. And herbs, these are the small plants which have the green color delicate stem, for example coriander. Okay, so like this he has classified the plants into trees, shrubs and herbs. Then he came to animals. Animals he has classified into two groups, the animals which had the red blood and the animals which did not had the red blood. So here you can see the picture of Aristotle. Okay, then next scientist. Okay, next scientist, his name is Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, he has given or he has proposed two kingdom classification system, and he has classified the organisms into two kingdoms, that is kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Plantae includes all the plants and kingdom Animalia includes all the animals. So two kingdom classification system was given by scientist Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, but this two kingdom classification system was not accepted because it was having some drawbacks. So what are the drawbacks of this two kingdom classification system? Okay, so here the prokaryotes, okay, the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes are not grouped into different group. The prokaryotes and eukaryotes are both included under the same group. What do you mean by prokaryotes? Prokaryotes means these are the organisms or these are the cells without definite nuclear membrane. Whatever the genetic material is there, it is not bounded by the definite nuclear membrane. So those are called as prokaryotes. Whereas eukaryotes means in the cells you will find the definite nucleus is present. Whatever the genetic material is there, it is bounded by a nuclear membrane. Prokaryotes, definite nucleus is absent. Eukaryotes, definite nucleus is present. So both these are included under the same group. This is the first drawback. Second one, it includes unicellular and multicellular organisms in the same group. It was not able to separate the unicellular and multicellular organism. Both are grouped into the same group. So that was the second drawback. And the third drawback is it did not differentiate between heterotrophic organisms and autotrophic organisms. Heterotrophic means these are the organisms which are not able to prepare or which are not able to synthesize their own food. They have to depend on the other organisms for their food purpose. Those are called as heterotrophic organisms. For example, fungi. And autotrophic means these are the organisms they can prepare or they can synthesize their own food. So autotrophic, for example, green plants. So heterotrophic and autotrophic are different. So these both are also included under the same group. So these are the three drawbacks of two kingdom classification. So as it is not accepted universally, one more scientist came into existence and finally he has given 5 kingdom classification system. 5 kingdom classification system. So this 5 kingdom classification system is proposed by the scientist name is R.H. Whitaker. Robert H. Whitaker in 1969. So the name is very important. One mark question will be asked. Who has proposed the 5 kingdom classification system? So this name is very important. R.H. Whitaker. Okay. So he has given the 5 kingdom classification system. So which are these 5 kingdom? You can see here. First kingdom, kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. Okay, Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. These are the 5 kingdoms given by R.H. Whitaker. It includes all these 5 kingdoms. So this classification, on what basis he has given these 5 kingdoms? So this classification is based on cell structure. What is the structure of cell? Then thallus organization. Thallus organization. Thallus is nothing but the leaf-like part of the plant. What is the organization of that? Okay. Then mode of nutrition. how they take their food, nutrition, the food habit, okay, what type of food they eat and all that. Then reproduction, how they reproduce, and the phylogenetic relationships. Phylogenetic relationship is nothing but the evolutionary relationship, means what are their ancestors, do they have the common ancestors. Okay, so all these points he has taken into consideration, and finally he has given the 5 kingdoms, that is Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. What's the name of scientist? R.H. Whitaker. So now all these 5 kingdoms we are going to study in detail. So our major focus for this chapter number 2 is kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista and kingdom Mycota. Monera, Protista and Mycota. These 3 kingdoms we are going to study in detail in this chapter. And for kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia we have the separate chapter, that is chapter number 3 and 4. So there we will study that in detail. So our major focus is kingdom Monera, Protista and Mycota. So we'll start with kingdom Monera. So kingdom Monera, here mainly you will find the bacteria. Bacteria are the sole members or the important members of the kingdom Monera. So bacteria are most abundant microorganism. Abundant means because you will find bacteria everywhere. Bacteria are present in the air, bacteria are present in the water, bacteria are present in the soil, bacteria are present in the food. Everywhere the bacteria are present. So abundant in number. Hundreds of bacteria are present in the handful of soil. If you take a little bit of soil in your hand also, you will find hundreds of bacteria are present in that soil. Okay. So where these bacteria live? So bacteria, they live in extreme habitats. So as I told, everywhere the bacteria are present, in the air, in the water, in the soil, everywhere. Okay. Again you will find these bacteria in the extreme habitats also. Okay, so extreme habitats such as the hot springs. Hot springs means garam पाण्याचे झरे. Okay, then in the deserts वाळवंट, in the snow and in the deep oceans. So these are the extreme conditions, but there also the bacteria can survive. Okay, so these bacteria, many of these bacteria are parasites. Okay, they are parasitic in nature. Parasite means what? They are living on the other organism. They are taking their food from the other organism. They live inside the other organism or they live outside the other organism, but they are depending on the other organism, so for their food purpose. So they are called as the parasites. Okay, so bacteria, there are 4 categories of bacteria. So how these categories are made? Based on the shape of the bacteria. These are classified into 4 categories. So which are those categories? Coccus, Bacillus, Vibrio and Spirillum. Okay, so coccus means you will find the shape of bacteria is spherical. You can see a rounded shape or spherical shape. These are called as the coccus. Coccus, it is a singular word and cocci is the plural word. So coccus, that is spherical shape. The second one is Bacillus. Bacillus, you will find the which shape? Rod shaped bacteria. So here you can see bacilli, that is the rod shaped bacteria. Rod shape is there. The third one, that is Vibrio. Vibrio, what shape you will find? Comma shape. So here you can see Vibrio, it is comma shape. Okay, and the last one, that is Spirillum. You will find the spiral shape. So here you can see Spirillum, that is spiral shape bacteria. So which are the 4 types? Coccus, Bacillus, Vibrio and Spirillum. Depending on what? Depending on the shape. So these are the 4 categories of bacteria. Now we'll study in detail the structure of bacteria. So bacterial structure is very simple, but they are complex in behavior and show metabolic diversity. Their behavior is very complex. If you see, the structure is very simple, but behavior is complex and they show metabolic diversity. Metabolic diversity is nothing but the chemical reactions which are going on inside them. Different types of reactions are there. Some bacteria are autotrophic. As I told, autotrophic means what? Synthesize food from inorganic substrate. They can synthesize their own food by using some inorganic substrate. And majority of bacteria are heterotrophs. Some are autotrophic, they can synthesize their own food, but majority are heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means what? They do not synthesize the food but depend on other organisms or on dead organic matter for their food purpose. So they are called as the heterotrophs. So some bacteria are heterotrophic and majority are some bacteria are autotrophic and majority are heterotrophs. Okay, so this is the bacteria. You can see here the structure, and inside structure you can see. So bacteria, it is an prokaryote. Prokaryote means what? Here you can see whatever this genetic material is there inside. This is the genetic material. Okay, so this genetic material, it is nothing but the circular DNA, nucleoid or DNA. So here this nucleoid is freely present in the cytoplasm. You will not find any nuclear membrane. So it is called as prokaryotic. So bacteria are prokaryotes. Okay. Now the classification. So depending on the shape we have classified the bacteria. Those are of 4 types. Now depending on the other characteristics, the classification of bacteria we are going to study here. So here you can see the bacteria, they are divided into 2 types mainly, that is Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Eubacteria are the true bacteria. Okay, so Archaebacteria is again divided into halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogens, depending on where they are living or where they are surviving. Depending on that, halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogen. Then Eubacteria, depending on their mode of nutrition. Okay, autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs again photosynthetic autotrophs and chemosynthetic autotroph. Means by using the photo means light. By using the light they are synthesizing their food, and chemo by using the chemicals they are synthesizing their food. So photosynthetic and chemosynthetic. Then heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means, as I told, they depend on the other organism. Parasitic means they are present inside or outside the other organism, and saprophytic means they depend on the dead and decayed organic matter. So depending on mode of nutrition, autotrophs and heterotrophs. The main 2 are Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. So first we will study about the Archaebacteria. So kingdom Monera, bacteria, the first one we will study Archaebacteria. So here Archaebacteria. In the Archaebacteria, again I told, depending on where they are living, 3 types are there: halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogens. The first one, halophiles, where they live in harshest habitats such as extreme salty areas. Okay, in the salty areas they are surviving, so they are called as halophiles. Salty areas, halophiles. Okay, remember this one. Then hot springs. As I told, hot spring means garam पाण्याचे झरे. In the hot springs, so they are called as thermoacidophiles. Thermoacidophiles. Thermo means heat. Thermoacidophiles. So they are where they are living, hot springs. And one more, that is methanogens, where they are living marshy areas. In the marshy areas. Marshy areas means it is neither the soil, it is neither the water. Okay. Marshy areas, दलदल आपण जे म्हणतो, marshy areas, that is called as methanogens. Okay, so Archaebacteria have a different cell wall structure. Okay, their cell wall is made up of different chemicals. The cell wall structure, cell wall means the outer covering, it is different one, and for that purpose only they are surviving in the extreme condition. So only they are able to live in the salty areas or in the hot springs or in the marshy areas, because their outer covering, that is cell wall structure, is different. last, that is the methanogens. The methanogens, where these are present? The methanogens are present in the guts of ruminant animals. The methanogens are present in the guts of ruminant animals. Ruminant animals, for example, the cows and the buffaloes. Okay, so in the gut, the digestive system of that organisms. So what they will do? They produce the methane. Which gas they are produce? Methane gas. Usually we call it as the biogas from the dung of these animals. Dung is nothing but the digestive waste of the cows and the buffaloes. You must be familiar with that, the methane gas, biogas plant. Okay, so these methanogens bacteria are present in the guts, that is digestive system of these cows and the buffaloes, and these bacteria, they are digesting the food material eaten by these animals, and they are producing the methane gas, that is biogas, from the dung of these animals. So where these are present? In the guts of ruminant animals. So archaebacteria, 3 types: halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogens. Clear? Okay, now we'll move on to the second type, that is eubacteria. As I told, eubacteria are the true bacteria. Now we'll study the structure of this bacteria. They have rigid cell wall and flagellum. Earlier we have seen the diagram. The outer covering, rigid means hard, rigid cell wall, and the flagellum. Flagellum means a tail like structure. Flagellum is present. If motile, motile means if they are moving from one place to another place. If they are moving, they have the flagellum, a tail like structure which help in the movement. They include autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs means photosynthetic autotrophs, and chemosynthetic autotrophs, and heterotrophs, second type. Okay, so what are these autotrophs? That we will study. So first one in the autotrophs, that is photosynthetic autotrophs. For example, which bacteria? Cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is the example of photosynthetic autotroph. Autotroph means they are able to synthesize their own food. Okay, for example, the cyanobacteria. So they have chlorophyll A, similar to the chlorophyll A. This is the pigment present in the photosynthetic autotroph, chlorophyll A, and this is similar to that of the green plants. You know that all the green plants, they synthesize their own food. So they have the chlorophyll pigment. So like that only, here these bacteria, they have the chlorophyll A pigment in them, which is same as of that of the green plant. So only they are preparing their own food by utilizing the chlorophyll and the photo. Photo means the sunlight. By using this, they prepare their own food. For example, which bacteria? Cyanobacteria. And common name of cyanobacteria is blue-green algae. What it is called as? Blue-green algae. Okay. So here this is the diagram of blue-green algae. You can see the color, bluish or greenish color. So it is called as blue-green algae. So what is the structure of this blue-green algae? These are unicellular. Unicellular means one cell. One cell is the one organism. And many cyanobacteria are living in groups. So you will find the many cyanobacteria there. But if you see the one structure, these are unicellular. Colonial. Colonial means they will live in the colony. Many are present. They are living in the colony. Or filamentous, or they are forming a thread-like structure. You can see they are forming a thread-like structure. So filamentous, filament-like structure. Marine or terrestrial algae. Marine means either they are present in the sea water or terrestrial. Terrestrial means they are present on the land, wherever the little bit of water is present. They are present on the sea water or on the land, that is terrestrial. Then the colonies are generally surrounded by gelatinous sheath. Okay, if you see the colony here, this colony, it is surrounded by the gelatinous sheath is there. Okay, so what this gelatinous sheath is doing? It is protecting these organism or unicellular cells from the, if they are present in the marine water, salt will be there, salty water will be there. So this gelatinous sheath, it is protecting this cell structure. Okay, then they often form blooms in polluted water bodies. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. Polluted water bodies means, suppose a river is there, and in that river, beside that river, one factory is there, and from that factory all the water which is polluted water, different chemicals are present in them. Okay, the nitrogen, phosphorus, zinc, lead, all the chemicals are there, and that are left into that river. Then that is polluted water body, and there these algae, that is cyanobacteria, they utilize these chemicals, the phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, all these are useful for the growth of this cyanobacteria. They use these chemicals and they will grow very fast. So that forms the blooms. Blooms means the full water body is covered with this blue green algae. So water will look greenish in color or bluish greenish in color. So it often forms blooms in the polluted water bodies. Okay, but this and these blooms are called as the algal blooms, because algae is surface of water is covered by the algae. So it is called as the algal bloom, and this is harmful for the organisms which are living in the water, because the fishes are present inside the water and water is covered by this algal bloom. Then the sunlight is not passing into the water. Okay, so the fishes will die. Then some of them fix atmospheric nitrogen in the specialized cells called as the heterocyst. Okay, so this is algal bloom. Then some type of bacteria, that is nostoc and the Anabaena. Nostoc and Anabaena. So this is the structure of nostoc. So some of them fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So here you can see this is the specialized cell which is called as the heterocyst. So specialized cell in the nostoc colony is the heterocyst. This is the colony of nostoc, and in that you will find a specialized structure you can observe here, and this is called as the heterocyst. So what this heterocyst will do? It will fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, so this is important one, atmospheric nitrogen fixation. So what is in which this is present? That is the nostoc. Example is nostoc and Anabaena. Two examples are there. So this is Anabaena. So you can see here the rounded thick structure, these are called as the heterocyst. So these here the nitrogen fixation, atmospheric nitrogen has been fixed. So nostoc and Anabaena. So this is photosynthetic autotroph. You can see this is also greenish in color. They are synthesizing their own food, okay, by using the chlorophyll A. So these are some examples. Anabaena, these are the specialized cells, that is the heterocysts, which are in the useful in the nitrogen fixation. Now the chemosynthetic autotrophs. Chemo means chemical. By using the chemical, chemosynthetic autotrophs, by using the chemicals they are synthesizing their food. Okay, so here these bacteria, they oxidize the inorganic substances. So nitrates and ammonia, these are the inorganic substance chemicals. So what they are doing, they are oxidizing these nitrates, nitrites and ammonia, and use the release energy for their ATP production. Okay, by oxidizing all these chemicals, what they will do, they use whatever the energy is released during the oxidation, that energy is used for the ATP production. Okay, food is nothing but the energy. How they are produced? In the ATP form. Okay, so that is chemical autotroph, chemosynthetic. Then these chemosynthetic autotroph, they play a great role in recycling the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur. Recycling, they play a great role in recycling the nutrients. Recycling means what? They are oxidizing these chemicals, nitrates and ammonia, and when this bacteria will die, suppose the soil bacteria are present, so they are oxidizing the chemicals, nitrates, nitrites and ammonia, and producing the food material or ATP they are producing. And when this bacteria will die, these nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, sulfur, whatever the chemicals are there, they are again released into the soil. So recycling, it is utilized by the bacteria and again it is released into the soil. So these are important in recycling the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur. So this is chemosynthetic autotrophs. Okay, so we have studied Archaebacteria. So Archaebacteria, you will find the three types are there depending on the where they are living: halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogens. Then we have moved to the eubacteria, that is true bacteria. Eubacteria, there are two types, that is autotrophs and heterotrophs. In the autotrophs we have studied that is photosynthetic autotrophs and chemosynthetic autotrophs. Now the heterotrophic bacteria. Autotrophs we have studied, now heterotrophic bacteria. So heterotrophic bacteria, these are most abundant in nature. So some, as I told, some are autotrophs and majority are heterotrophs. So these are most abundant in nature and majority are important decomposers. So here you can see the heterotrophic bacteria, different bacteria there. Okay, so what is the impact of this bacteria on the human affairs, that we are going to study here. So here you can see the impact. So as they are depending, heterotrophic means they are not able to synthesize their own food, so they depend on the other organisms for their food purpose. So other organism means including the human beings also. So inside our body or on our body also the bacteria are present and they are taking their food from our body. So impact of this heterotrophic bacteria on human affairs. So these are some useful bacteria also there. They are used to make curd from milk. Okay, you must have known the milk. If we keep in the night, and little bit of curd if we add in that, in the morning you will find the bowl which is full of the curd. So which bacteria are present in the curd? That is the bacillus. Okay, lactobacillus bacteria, lactobacillus. Okay, curd means dahi. Okay, so it is used to make curd from the milk. So which bacteria will be there? Lactobacillus. So these bacteria, they convert the milk into the curd. So useful bacteria. Then production of antibiotics. Production of antibiotics. Okay, antibiotics against the different diseases. In that the bacteria are useful. Then fixing the nitrogen in the legume roots. Fixing of nitrogen in the leguminous roots. So which is that bacteria? Rhizobium. Rhizobium is the bacteria which is useful in fixing the nitrogen in the legume roots. Legume roots means, for example, the groundnut. Okay, bhuimugacha shinga. If you see the roots of this groundnut, you will find some round structures. So in that bulb-like structure, you will find the bacteria that is called as a rhizobium. They are fixing the nitrogen because nitrogen is important or it is needed for the growth of the plant. In the roots of that plant, you will find the rhizobium bacteria, and what they are doing, they are fixing the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil. Okay, so production of antibiotics, then fixing of nitrogen. Then some bacteria are pathogens. So here it is, this term is important. Pathogenic bacteria. Pathogenic bacteria means what? The disease causing bacteria, pathogen. So some are pathogens causing the damage to human beings, crops, farm animals and pets. So these are causing diseases to the human beings or the crops, that is plants. Then farm animals. Okay, the cows, buffaloes, sheep, goats, all that. And pets, cats, dogs, pets, our. Okay, so these are called as pathogens. For example, you can see the bacteria which is named as Vibrio cholera. Vibrio cholerae. Okay, so this bacteria, it causes the cholera disease. You must have been heard about this. Then typhoid. Typhoid, it is caused by the bacteria named as Salmonella typhi. Salmonella typhi. So here you can see this is the bacteria and it causes the typhoid. Salmonella typhi causes typhoid. Then tetanus. Okay, that is septic, we call it tanners, and the citrus canker. Citrus canker, it is the disorder of the plant, that is the lemon plant. Citrus means the lemon. Citrus canker, whatever the lemons will come to the plant, they are having the black dots on that, okay, and the lemon will not grow into the big size. So this bacteria cause the disease to the lemon plant, and that is, their disease is called as a citrus canker. So the disease causing organisms are called as pathogens. So some bacteria are useful also. So how the impact you can see, some are useful also to the human beings, and some they are harmful, they are causing the diseases to the organisms, and they are living on the other organism. Either they are causing disease means in the human beings they are present, or in the plants they are present, and some are useful but they are taking their food from that milk only, okay, or from that plant only. So they are called as the heterotrophic bacteria. So this finishes the classification of the bacteria. Now the reproduction, the last part of the kingdom Monera, that is reproduction in bacteria. Bacteria reproduce mainly by the fission, okay. Reproduction means what? They are increasing in number, next generation, okay. So bacteria, how they are reproduced? Mainly by the fission. So under fission means what? The division. One bacteria is divided into two, then two bacteria are formed. Two are divided into four, four are formed. So this is reproduction, increasing in number. So under unfavorable conditions, they produce the spores. Unfavorable condition means what? Whatever the climatic conditions are there, those are not good for the reproduction, okay. Means particular temperature they need, particular pH they need. So if it is not present, then it is called as unfavorable condition. In that unfavorable condition, they produce the spores, and those spores are developing into the new bacteria. So first one you can see here by fission, okay. So here you can see this is one bacteria, it is dividing into two. So now two bacteria are formed, 1, 2. So reproduction, fission. Then under unfavorable condition, they produce the spores, you can see here. So this is the bacteria, okay. Whatever the genetic material is there, it is encircled here into the spore, that is developing spore coat, and here like this, from the bacteria the spore is released. So this spore is released, and whenever they will find the favorable condition, whenever the climate is suitable, that time they will develop into the new bacteria. So this is one type of reproduction by spores. Then they also reproduce by sort of sexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction by fission, asexual reproduction by producing the spores, and they can also reproduce by sexual reproduction by adopting a primitive type of DNA transfer from one bacteria to the other bacteria. DNA transfer. So here you can see the DNA material, whatever is present inside. By transferring that DNA material, they reproduce. Means here the characters are also changed. Character also has been transferred by transferring the DNA. So they can also reproduce by DNA transfer from one bacteria to another bacteria. So bacteria reproduce asexually by fission. So here you can see from one bacteria, two bacteria produce. So here also you can see the fission, okay. Then by producing the spores, this is asexual. And sexually, how they will reproduce? By transferring the DNA from one bacteria to the other bacteria. So that is about the reproduction. Now the one more term is here in the kingdom Monera, that is in the bacteria, that is mycoplasmas. Mycoplasmas, this is important one, it is asked for 2 marks or 1 marks many times. Mycoplasma. So what are these mycoplasmas? Mycoplasmas, they are the organisms without a cell wall. Till now we have studied bacteria, it is covered by the rigid or hard cell wall is present, so only they can live in any harsh condition. But here mycoplasmas, these are nothing but these are the organisms without cell wall. The outer covering, you will not find the cell wall. Cell wall is not present outside, okay. They are smallest living cells known. Very smallest, these are the very small, smaller than the bacteria. These are the very smallest living cells known, and they can survive without oxygen. How they can survive? They can survive without oxygen. So those are called as the mycoplasmas. And many are pathogenic in animals and plants. What do you mean by pathogenic? They cause diseases to the animals and plants. Those are called as the mycoplasma. So 2 marks question. What are mycoplasmas? So first point, these are without cell wall. Here you can see the outer covering is lipoprotein. Okay, that is lipids and proteins. No cell wall is there. Okay, and inside that lipids and proteins you will find the DNA material is there. So these are the DNA. So without cell wall is there. Then these are very smallish living organism and they can survive without oxygen. Okay, they can live their life, they can reproduce without oxygen. And many of them are pathogenic in animals and plants. They cause diseases in the animals and plants. Those are called as the mycoplasmas. Important one. So second kingdom, that is the kingdom Protista. So kingdom Protista we are going to study in our next lecture. So first, have you understood the kingdom Monera? Kingdom Monera, which includes the bacteria. Okay, so all we are discussed, and in the next lecture we'll start with the kingdom Protista. Okay, so thank you dear students.